Joining us now, though, House of Delegates member Ben Cline. He's from the Lynchburg area. He's a Republican. Now he's one of two declared candidates running for the seat of the retiring Bob Goodlatte. This is in Virginia's 6th congressional district, Lynchburg, Roanoke, pretty big area down there. The other candidate who has entered the race officially is Cynthia Dunbar, the state committee woman for the Republican Party of Virginia. This nomination will be decided in a convention. Woohoo! Sometime, we believe, in May or June in 2018, right? 2018. It's going to be a convention. Those are always fun. Of course, we'll be there live having a blast, no question. Great theater for us. Tough, though, on a campaign, but we've also got a third entrant, could be getting in, but I'm going to wait until he officially gets in. Actually, I can't even remember his name. Sorry. It's not rolling off my tongue, and I don't feel like looking it up. So right now it's Dunbar Cline. Joining us now, Ben Cline. Hey, Ben. Happy Thanksgiving.
John, thank you. It's good to be back with you. Happy Thanksgiving to you, my friend.
All right, now we're going to get into campaign stuff and some. Look, you're trying to get to the House of Representatives, so we'll put the Virginia State House off to the side a minute here. And I'm going to play this clip. I want to get your comments on it. Nancy Pelosi telling Chuck Todd that she defended then President Clinton, but not because of the allegations, because she thought he was being unfairly impeached or some other kind of duplicitous doublespeak.
Frankly, when you watch some of the reactions by the president in defending Roy Moore, or at least overlooking the allegations against Roy Moore, that were you putting politics ahead of your personal disgust?
No, but we're talking about a child molester. We're talking about a child molester.
But President Clinton was accused of being a sexual predator.
Well,
and of even rape at one point by one accuser.
Why don't we talk instead about how we go forward? Nobody is proud of President Clinton's behavior at the time, but he was being impeached.
But I think the reason there's a relitigation of this is that I think the concern is that we allowed the erosion, that the reason we're at this moment and the reason it got worse over the last 20 years is because of the way we handled it collectively then. Do you buy that argument?
No, I buy that the election of President Trump really, as your presenter said earlier, just evoked a response.
Oh, it was the election of President Trump. It had nothing to do with Bill Clinton. Nothing to do with Bill Clinton, although Juanita Broaddrick accused him of rape, been on my show. Kathleen Willey accused him of sexually assaulting her in the closet in the Oval Office, in the kitchen, been on my show, Kathleen, many times. It really destroyed her life. And, of course, Paula Jones, who won a major financial settlement from President Clinton for being sexually assaulted, groped, etc. And, oh, by the way, remember James Carville, who got on national TV and said, drag a $100 bill through a trailer park and God knows what you're going to find, right? We're all going to sweep that under the carpet now and say the real reason all this is coming out is because the Americans elected Donald Trump president, right? That's the reason. I mean, it's just, how do they even get on TV with a straight face and do this? I have no idea. Comment, Ben Cline. What a mess, Ben. You got Conyers now is stepping down as judiciary ranking minority vice chairman. What the hell's going on here?
It's a mess up there. It's the swamp. You said it right. And the Nancy Pelosi has always been known as the queen of hypocrisy. It's no surprise that the minority leader who said you got to read the health care bill to find out what's in it is blaming Trump for all the ails of the Democrats in Washington, problems that they created, John Conyers and Bill Clinton and the rest of them. So they're trying to pin it on the president, and it's not going to stick because our president is the only one who's actually doing anything up there. He's actually the only one who's getting anything done by slashing the regulations, by trying to get health care through, trying to get tax reform through. He's on the verge of achieving something great there with tax reform, something that hasn't been done since Ronald Reagan. And I want to go up there and help him pursue this America First agenda and get it done.
I mean, he's going to need all the help he can get, no question about it. People that stand with him to get things done, and we got to get this tax cut done. Now, here's my first question. If you were in the House of Representatives now, the tax cut plan that the House passed, would you have voted in favor of that? Why or why not?
I probably would have voted in favor of it because we need to get it done. It's got some things that I'm not as excited about, but overall, it's providing tax relief for the middle class. It's providing tax relief for small businesses, and it's putting us on a good footing with the rest of the world so that American workers and American products can compete. And that's all part of his agenda. That's all part of what I've been campaigning on, what I've been working on in Virginia for over a decade in the House of Delegates. Chairman of the Conservative Caucus, we've been fighting for tax relief for years. And I'm the only one who actually sponsored legislation to give across-the-board tax relief to Virginia citizens back in about 10 years ago. And so we're looking to do it nationally, and I'm glad that they're almost across the finish line if they can corral a couple senators to actually deliver on what they promised during their campaigns and support tax reform.
Well, there's no question about it. You've been an advocate of cutting taxes for some time. You've also been an advocate in the House of Delegates in Virginia of transparency, liberty. One bill that was my favorite that you proposed, and I just want everybody to know this so you know where Ben Cline is coming from. This is my favorite bill ever. Ben Cline actually sponsored a bill to outlaw red light cameras. To me, I would have run for governor on that, and I think you would have won just on that, just because they're outrageous. I mean, it started with, we're going to have a big camera in big intersections to help because we're getting these rear ends, and maybe there'll be one in every county. Now they're on every stop sign. I mean, every traffic light everywhere in Virginia has a red light camera on it. It's turned into a cash cow. It's a shakedown.
That's right. The principles of liberty don't just stick to one party or the other. Doesn't matter which party you're in. These types of cameras flip the criminal justice system on its head, where you're now guilty. You get a ticket in the mail, you're found guilty, and you have to go to court if you want to prove your innocence. That's not the way that our founders set up our system of justice, and that's not the way it should be in Virginia. So I've put in a bill several years to go up against this cash cow, which is it's little more than just a moneymaker for municipalities, and studies have shown that in localities across the country that adopt these things, they slow down, they speed up the yellows so that it triggers the red faster, and you get more tickets. Right. So it's just a money-making scheme for localities, and we've got to end it in Virginia.
Outrageous. And then what happens is the suppliers of the red light cameras and then the back office software technology companies, they donate tens and tens of thousands of dollars to council members and supervisors in order to keep putting them in. So, I mean, it's like the swamp in Washington comes home to your local town. The whole thing is ridiculous. Ben, let's get to your campaign. You put a pretty good team together. I tweeted out the other day. You got a solid group. Tell me a little bit about them. And, I mean, I got to just be honest. How are you going to win a convention and beat Cynthia Dunbar, who beat the Obenchains in a convention in their hometown? How are you going to beat them?
Well, we've got a great team, and what's more important, we've got a great message. And our message is that we need to get up to Washington, drain the swamp, and start putting in place some conservative legislation that actually gets through the Congress, congressmen who stand up and lead. I've been leading for over a decade in the House of Delegates. I've got a record to prove it. I've actually delivered on my conservative promises, and, that's what I want to do up in Washington. So it's going to be about message, but the team is great. I've got folks from John Adams' team coming in to help. I've got folks from Tom Garrett's campaign team who won a contested convention just 2 years ago, coming in to help. And I've got folks from all over the Commonwealth who recognize that this is going to be an important race, and they want someone up there joining Congressman Bratt and Congressman Garrett and Congressman Griffith, who are going to share their conservative values and go fight alongside them to get things done for the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Let's go to something local that you're going to be dealing with in Richmond. One of your colleagues, Republican from Spotsylvania, Mark Cole, just put in legislation to mandate that car insurance companies cannot charge more money for people with bad credit, that they have to go by their driving record. Right now, two people in Virginia, same exact driving record, same age, everything is the same. The person with bad credit is going to pay almost 75% more for the same driving record. Is that a good idea or a bad idea? And if it is good, does it have any legs, or are you going to see the insurance companies come and lobby and it dies in committee like it always does?
Well, the insurance companies, they are a force in Richmond, and it's unfortunate that, there are those of us who are trying to stand up on behalf of the people. Mark Cole does a great job on behalf of the Virginia public and goes to bat for the citizens of Virginia time and time again. He's in the Conservative Caucus and chairman of the Privileges and Elections Committee, and hopefully we're going to keep our majority. We've got a one-seat majority hanging by a thread, and hopefully he's going to stay chairman down there. As for the bill, one of the things I am concerned about, the consumers and making sure that they have their access to insurance, but I also want to make sure we're not putting too many mandates on policies. One of the big problems with Obamacare, the reason that insurance policies are so expensive nowadays is because Obama put dozens of new mandates on insurance policies, so insurance companies can't even offer, a single man a policy that doesn't have coverage for giving birth or something like that. So we've got to be careful when we put additional requirements on insurance policies that we're not raising the price for consumers as we try and help them.
Well, it isn't going to matter because it'll never get out of committee. And so our audience knows it's the same thing in Maryland. What's going to happen is it'll get in a committee. All the insurance lobbyists that give money to various politicians on both sides of the aisle, there's nobody giving money for the consumer side. It'll get overwhelmed and it'll stall in committee on a voice vote. So nobody goes on the record voting against the consumer. That's the mini swamp in Richmond.
And that's the big problem. Is that,
the way it works.
None of these votes are recorded,
right.
and that's one of the things I've been fighting for. I've had legislation in. I got told it was a rules change. Now I'm bringing it as a rules change. Hopefully we're going to get it through this year where every vote is going to get recorded so the citizens know, and not just the lobbyists in the room, exactly how members of the legislature are voting.
Because that's what happened. These things die. Money is abound. Lobbyists are streaming all over the place. They die. No show of hands. So nobody's accountable, which is the exact opposite of what we put people up there to do. And that needs to get changed. That has always driven me bananas. And that's why when you try to get something done for the consumer, like outlaw red light cameras, when there's millions of dollars in campaign donations and everything else flowing around, all of the municipalities, all the supervisors, the chairmen, they all line up pleading poverty off. This goes away. We'll have to lay people off. And then you got the lobbyists representing the companies that supply all this stuff. They get all the money, and the poor consumer that's getting fleeced by these cameras has no money. So it just dies in committee. It just dies and nobody's accountable. And that's the mini swamp in Richmond. You have the same thing in Annapolis. It's ridiculous. If you're in Congress, are you going to be in favor of complete transparency, retroactive, for this sexual harassment fund that the taxpayers have been paying in order to squash people's testimony? Do you think all this should be out in the open?
I have been amazed by what I'm reading about Conyers and his office and these ghost employees to settle sexual harassment suits, hiring people on his staff, and getting the taxpayers to foot the bill for these settlements, and it's got to be opened up. And because so many of these members are still elected, it's got to be retroactive. Let the sunshine in. That's been my motto in Richmond. We've got I've gotten some reforms put in transparency where the budget is now online. I worked on that years and years ago. I've worked to get a 48-hour review period of the budget so the citizens can know what's in it. Now we've got recorded votes. So transparency is important to me in Richmond. It's going to be important to me in Washington, and I'm going to get there and shine some sunlight on these agreements that these members have been using taxpayer money to enter into with sexual harassment suits.
Let the sun shine. Let the sun shine in. That's what we need. Ben Cline, we're out of time. What's your website?
It's BenClineForCongress.com.